Hello, gorgeous human being of the Matrix. Thank you for asking. I am feeling better. I'm not quite sure what's going on with me, but I've been having some weird health stuff since the end of last year. So we'll send good vibes. It all gets straightened out, but I feel it's connected to emotional stuff. So I'm sure it's flaring back up because of femme fatale and all the deep work that we're doing. It calls things back up to the surface. But humans do funny things. All right. So today I wanted to jump into one of the questions that has been presented in this group that we have not talked about, which is team stuff and how important it is to be supported. And I think this was guided by Olivia. I think someone else also said I think it was Mai who said, this is also very important for me. And I want to talk about, the development of team. So just before we get started, I just want to be reminded, we didn't have anybody that was lingering for questions or anything yesterday, did we? I think we were fresh. We were all up to date. Lipstick on my upper lip. That's better. I think we're all set, right? We didn't have anybody lingering that hadn't been answered. I just want to make sense. Yeah, I know, Ali. It's like it feels like it comes, maybe it's a femme fatale thing. We'll see. Okay, so here's the thing with team. I think the story is kind of well known for me that I started this business without a team. And the reason I started with no team was because I kept hearing everywhere that it was impossible to have a profitable business in the coaching industry unless you had like 100,000 email subscribers. Like in order to make $1 million, you'd have to spend like 4 times that amount. And it felt odd to me when I was at the let's say $250,000 mark, and people were saying this, it felt like, how is it that I can make 250,000 on my own and I could clear every penny of that? But if I'm going to scale 4 times, I'm going to make nothing. Doesn't that feel odd to you guys? Like, why? Why is it that you can make $250,000 but not $1 million? So it kind of bothered me, and being who I am, every time someone tells me there's something I can't do, well, then I want to do it. And so I was like, well, then I will be the person that scales business to $1 million without any of the things you say. No website, no funnel, no sales team, no nothing. Like, I don't believe this. This is crap. Like, I don't like to be limited that way. So let's try. So what happened once I set in motion, and what's so interesting, and you'll get the energetics of this, is it wasn't, I want to scale my business to $1 million without hiring anybody because I'm afraid that I'm not going to make the money, or I need the money, or it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with breaking this thing that so many of us were being trapped in. And I wanted to be the pioneer to show, if I can do it, we can do it. So the for me, for you, for us aspect was already running rampant in my business before I was even aware of it. So just remember, this was not just for me. There was something to prove to the world, like, we can do this, I believe. So when I started doing more and more, it's like the minute I started focusing on this, I'm going to build my business on my own until I hit $1 million. I thought this was going to take me years. I never expected, when I declared this, we were at like $20,000 months. So the same year we started at $20,000 months, we ended the year at $1 million. The thing that was crazy though, is I expected, you know, what you think in your head is going to happen is you're going to have this slow and steady incline. Like I remember thinking what's going to happen is I'm going to get there making $84,000 a month for 12 months. Makes sense. Right now I'm making 20,000. Eventually I'll make 30. Eventually I'll make 40. Eventually I'll make 50. And then we'll get to 80. And then if we have 12 of those in a row, I'll make $1 million. This is the logical, cerebral, mathematical way to make $1 million. Except that's not what happened. It was like 20, 30, 20, 30, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40, 50, 150, 98, 100, 120, 180, 100, that. And so what was difficult for me is that when we started getting into that like 180,000 mark, we were over double per month what I would have expected I would need to make this million. So I declared I'd do this on my own, but I thought I could handle it at $80,000 months. And when we started having almost $200,000 months and I had no support, I was like, we need to hit $1 million fast because I need a team. Like, this is just, I need help. And so Emmanuelle manifested in my life. Emmanuelle was actually a boss of mine in an old job. And so when she circled back in my life, it was like divine intervention. Her and her husband were going to a funeral right near where Kevin and I were renting a house, and they ended up staying the night. I hadn't seen her in years. And we started talking about her relationship, and she was talking to me about her business, and I helped her, she helped me. And that next week, she just kept thinking about me, and she wrote to me like, I keep thinking about your business. Maybe I should just quit my job and you should hire me. And I was like, okay. She's like, what? And I said, what? She was like, are you serious? I said, are you serious? She said, I think I am. I said, I think I am too. I said, okay, make me a proposal and let's see what we can do. And so she basically told me what she was making at her job. I paid her a little bit more than that, just to say like, it's a good move to come. And she came over to Alpha Femme. So it was myself and Emmanuelle, and that's it. Emmanuelle's a manifesting generator. We already knew we could work well together, so that helped us. I knew she had the same energy type as me. Now, I don't even know if it's legal to ask people what their human design is and to hire them based on their human design. I don't even know. But what I do know is that it was really powerful when it was just the two of us, to have that sacral authority and to have that like bouncing stuff off each other. And like when things were slow, they were slow for both of us. And when things were hectic, they were hectic for both of us. But it's like it was her and I against the world. And we did this, her and I, all of 2019. Eventually, my sister came on board just to wrap gifts, to help me wrap and send gifts and flowers to clients while she went to school and also had another job. It was like a part-time thing she did to help me. But as far as the business went, it was only Emma and I. Then when the pandemic hit, Vanessa, who was the head of a hotel in Montreal, all the hotels got shut down. Kevin was not a part of the business, not really at this point. Not at all, actually. He really started with us in 2020, fully being a part of it, because what happened is at this point I had Emmanuelle that was full blown on the team, Vanessa, who came on to do transcriptions at first. So she would transcribe my programs and take notes of them for my clients, and Emma and I just doing our regular thing, and Shannon shipping gifts. Now, when we got stuck in Hawaii, Shannon couldn't ship the gifts because she was with me. And so that's when she started really developing her skills in graphic design. And we were stuck there. And so we made this decision, the three of us, while we were there, that we were going to come together. And so Kevin took more of a role of organizing stuff. Vanessa actually came on more and more. And then we had Vanessa, Emmanuelle, Shannon, and then Kevin. And so the team kind of grew. But Vanessa was the perfect person to bring in because her qualifications in life were customer experience, customer service in the hotel industry. And it actually made me realize how good employees are that come from the hospitality industry for us. So whenever anybody's looking for transferable skills, like maybe they don't know the coaching world, but they want a job, they want to work a solid job, they care about their career, they want to climb a corporate ladder, they're interested in possibilities of advancement, they're hardworking, they care about their job, they care about clients, they know how to handle chaos, hectic stuff, they understand TripAdvisor and customer service, like they've got to be squeaky clean, they know how to deal with deadlines and emails, and like they're very structured and organized, and they're good under pressure. Actually, they thrive under pressure. And so Vanessa is a generator. So Vanessa is not the one that I can give a million different things to think about all the time, but she's the one that will just follow through on whatever task that she has and go the whole way. And so we put her on AFE, customer experience for AFE. And really, she started implementing extraordinary customer service as part of the brand. Now, Emmanuelle was literally my other hand. So it felt like anything I didn't have space to do, Emmanuelle was doing. So she did everything. Like she did everything. Everything I could do, Emmanuelle could do. What I love in starting my business this way is that I know how to do everything that occurs in my business. Everything at this point, like every single thing that I'm delegating to a person, I know how to do. No one is necessary in the way where if they don't show up, I'm going to just become a puddle, because I know how to do what I'm delegating. And they also don't feel misunderstood, or they don't feel like you don't understand what this is like for me, because I do. They're like, I did every single job everybody is doing. So it kind of strengthened our bond. It made me respect them so much more, made them respect me so much more. And so this was the beginning. Now, when it was time for us to start stretching, the things that I really wanted for the brand were more visual things. And so although Shannon was the one that was doing the graphics, Marilyn, the one who's Marilyn Alpha team, was really good at drawing. I don't know if you guys were in my life at that point when I had all cartoons of all my clients. So Marilyn is the one who drew all the cartoons, all the GIFs that we had on IG. So we prioritized that for a moment, and it was really amazing. Then our French clientele started to grow, and she said, you know, I would be so happy to be a part of your team. I would love to do the support, the behind the scenes, connecting with people. And I was like, okay, let's try it. And so we tried Marilyn on in the team. She was really good for French. Then her English started getting better and better and better. And I realized having more people on the team was actually really beneficial for Emmanuelle and Vanessa, because them having a support was very good. So I asked Vanessa if she knew anybody that would be really great. And she brought in Tammy, who used to work at the hotel with her. So another person in the hospitality industry. Tammy, world class once again. And so now the team had grown to another level. But what was missing now was finance. So the thing with me is I have the fears, right? The fears that you're going to bring someone in and give them all your PayPal passwords, and then your next thing, you're the next sad story on Netflix. So I was like, no, it needs to be somebody that I trust. My aunt and my cousin were the head of finance for Videotron, which is a huge telecommunication company in Canada. They've worked for bigger companies. They've done sales and finance. So I'm like trying to get my cousin Stephanie to come in. And she's like, I love you, but I can't, like and she was pregnant when I offered her the job the first time. She was like, I'm gonna have a family. I'm the main breadwinner. Like, I've been at my company for 9 years. I love you, but I can't chance it, if something goes wrong. So eventually my aunt, her mom, came on, and she became the head of finance, which was a game changer for Alpha Femme team. Because now, instead of everybody running after everybody, we had a finance department, which felt so amazing. But Joanna was teaching us stuff. She was saying, here are some things that are missing. Here are things that you need in the company. And so we started creating a better structure for the company, which was absolutely amazing. And then the company grew more, and the company grew more. So we needed more people. Emmanuelle had a friend in the hospitality business, Kim. She was the director of a hotel in Quebec City. She came on. Kimberly is a freaking star. And then Vanessa knew Lisa, and Lisa works with Vanessa's mom, or used to work with Vanessa's mom. She's a counselor. She's absolutely extraordinary. So bringing her on made so much sense. And she was more of a, behind the scenes with the coaching. And then Cheryl, Alpha team, also came in. She's also my aunt. So she's been a hairdresser, a business owner her entire life. Wanted to go for a life coaching, business coaching certification. I said, why don't you come and work for Alpha Femme until you're fully certified in all your things, and then you can even have clients within the brand. Like, let's do that. She's such an incredible person, so much experience in business, and she's been helping people her whole life. So she came on, and her comments blew everybody's comments out of the water. It raised the bar for all customer experience. Her coaching was really incredible. Lisa's coaching was really incredible. So the bar started raising and raising and raising. Shannon got into product development. We created these incredible notebooks and crystal water bottles. Then our quality of our products went up, which was absolutely extraordinary. We found the right people for that. And so the team has grown very organically, but there's a couple of things that were very important to me. I really believe every person in the world knows one person like them. I think when you're an incredible person, you know at least one other incredible person in this world. And so when you grow your business organically, and it's like, who do you know that would be incredible for this? There will be someone connected to someone for sure. But don't give jobs to help people. This is the biggest mistake entrepreneurs do, is they want to save people through hiring them, and they end up being some of the worst employees on the planet. If your employee got fired from every job and they can't get another job, they're not the right one for you. If your employee is an entrepreneur who couldn't make it, and now you want to help them because they're not making money, that's not going to go well. And so a lot of times it's like we forget that this is a whole company, this is a whole enterprise that we're building, and we get stuck in like, I could hire you. Do you want to come work for me? Oh, perfect. A person I know I could pay to do things. It doesn't help for growth. So I do recommend that you learn to do everything well in your world, that you really learn all the things that are to be done in your company. And when you know where you need support, you start really focusing, like, what other industries in the world have a person that has the same qualifications as what I need right now? That's the greater thing. Now, when we talk about onboarding, and this is so interesting because you could speak to any single person of the Alpha Femme team and they will tell you the same thing. When I hired them, this is what I said to them. I'm going to bring you in and it's going to feel very weird. At the beginning, you're going to wonder if you're not doing enough. It's going to feel like, give me something to do. Like, I'm not sure I'm doing enough. It's normal because I don't know yet what your role is. I know some of the things I need you to do, but a lot of the things we're going to have to figure it out as we go. So I'm going to need you to bring your leadership to the table. We're going to craft this over time. It could take weeks before you fully fill your schedule, and it doesn't matter because I'm here for the long run with you. My goal is that you work for this company forever. So let's figure out the speed of things together, and it'll eventually make sense. And they all came in that way. Very relaxed at the beginning. Just like figure out where you land. What are you good at? Where do you fit in the most? What are you seeing? Look at the business. Where are you going? Oh my gosh, I need to do that. I want to do that. I'm seeing that, because people are brilliant and they have so much insight. But when we want to control everything, we don't get their genius. So I don't hire people once I'm in dire need of people, or it's like, I need you and I need you to work hard right now because I'm overloaded and you need to come right now. I hire people when it's time for expansion. And so expansion is, let's find the greatest way for you to be inside of this company. And I found that has been the most efficient way for the people inside of Alpha Femme. I did this with my sister. It was not good. Can you riff view on the onboarding training process? You run them through, your favorite questions you ask when you're interviewing them. So when I think of Alpha Femme, for me, the most important thing is, why do you want to work for Alpha Femme? Because usually by the time they've been connected, someone's talked to them about it. I want to know what they heard and I want to know what they're going to say. And it's the same thing as when I asked you, why do you want to join the Matrix? I can tell when a person is joining something for the right reasons and when someone is joining something for the incorrect reasons. What I've loved as answers is, I feel like I'm going to be able to bring a lot of what I already know how to do, but in something that actually matters. Like, I'm going to actually be able to bring my expertise in a company that I stand behind. I love what you're doing. I really love the work you're doing in the world, and to be able to use my skills in something I believe in is going to be such an honor and a privilege. Like, those are the kinds of things that I was looking for, not people who are like, well, I love that I can work from home. I'm excited about the salary. Like, I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for, I love my job. I love my work. I love what I do. And to be able to do this in a place that actually means something, like, that's what I was looking for. Thank you for saying this. Hiring and training was like my jam in corporate. It was so fun. Curate the best team ever, then create world-class culture because you had rock star badass seeds run, because you had rock stars. Bad seeds ruin the bunch. Hire slow, fire fast on those ones. There's a place for leadership, nurturing, and development, but people keep the wrong people on their team for too long, I find. That is true. Would you hire someone who's already self-employed in their business or no? So this has been an interesting conversation for me throughout times, because I don't want to ever stop people from doing the things they want. But I've realized now that I'm looking for employees. That's what I want. If someone has an entrepreneurial spirit, then what is going to happen, and this is what is very easy to happen, is that there's conflict of interest. They want to start their own business, but your clients are following them. They want to start their own business, but all their leads will come from your business, and it gets sticky and it gets. So you've got to be careful with that. You've got to create really strong, it's like you've got to have a prenup. You've got to have a prenup with your employee, entrepreneur employees. What I've done is I encourage entrepreneurial spirit, but I really make it clear, like Alpha Femme is a magical machine. It attracts the most extraordinary people. And I am happy for all my employees to be able to have external work if they want. So if they want to do stuff within Alpha Femme, it's just that there is a 50-50 commission split. So Shannon does graphics for people that are in Unity or private coaching. She takes on a couple at a time, but there's a 50-50 commission split when she does that. Emmanuelle has done video editing for clients. It's been a 50-50 split when she does that. Nicole does breathwork sessions and integration work. It's 50-50 when she does that. So they get their salaries inside of my company, but anything outside of that is a 50-50 split. And that's just a way that they can create more income, but it doesn't make me feel like they're getting a full salary and they're doing a side job, which would not feel fair to me. And as long as they're okay with that, it works. And if it wouldn't, then it just wouldn't, you know what I mean? I've been doing this all backwards. Do pay salary and bonus, any commissions? So we've tried different things throughout the times. My most important thing for me is that my employees are excited to build with me. And so we had a bonus structure at first that was really exciting, and it worked for a while. Now I know we've got to restructure things. And so I'm like, and sometimes it's difficult to run a company and change things and launch new things, and like it gets a lot, but you've got to change things or else people get used to it and it stops being fun. So bonuses are supposed to feel like bonuses. When they stop feeling like bonuses, it's no fun for you to give bonuses anymore. So what I prefer is to say, we're going to have different bonus structures, and I'm going to come up with different structures that make it fun for the team every year. But if there isn't anything that incentivizes growth for the team, I do feel it gets stagnant. People just end up doing their job and you don't get the excitable part. And I understand that, because if you were to ask me to work as hard every year with no possibility for something different or fun, I don't know how long I could stay motivated either. So I think it's fun to play with these things, to keep people excited. That's important. So the ones in Canada for me are all employees. So every single person that works in Canada is an employee of the Alpha Femme brand. They have benefits. I got them the best insurance plans in the freaking world. Like I got everything that I could to make this the greatest. But the employees that are in other countries, I had to do independent contractors because I just couldn't give them the employee benefits. It didn't work the same way. Oh, what made you hire Cam? So Cam was such a unique experience for me. So Cam and Nicole are both past clients. Nicole is someone that I worked with in the beginning of my career. I was very close with. It was one-on-one. But Cam was just, I can't explain it. She did a matrix. That one, I did a full application. I read her application and I just sat there sobbing as if I'd known her forever. It was the weirdest feeling I had. All throughout the matrix, I felt so pulled to her, so pulled to her, so pulled to her. And we had a call. I can't even remember why we had a call. I think either I had an intuition about something. I don't even know. But I ended up speaking to her on the phone and I was like, I have this feeling. And I don't know if this is your vibe, but would you? And she was like, yes. And it was just this moment where she left her company behind, joined Alpha Femme, and it's been so incredible having her. She's out of this world, and a lot more is going to be happening with Cam in the future, but I just had this feeling. I can't explain it. So this was very unusual for me with Cam. It was a very feeling. When do you recommend employees versus contractors? I feel I'm unsure on the direction core team I need right now. Well, I think the difference, the biggest energetic difference, there's two ways to look at it. if you're able to have employees and your company is set up properly and you've got all the right legal team and everyone's going to help you pay them properly and they're going to get, you've got to make sure that you're going to pay everybody properly. This is the most important thing. If you're not equipped to understand all the jargon that comes with having employees, stick with contractors because it's just a lot easier. But once you want a real company, a real business, employees are what make a business a real business. Until then, you're an entrepreneur, but when you have a business, there's employees in it. Now, employees have contracts. They're paid to do a certain job at a certain way. They can be fired. You've got to follow certain rules. There's like, depending on what country, what state, what province you're in, there's different regulations. Having employees for me meant when Marilyn went on maternity leave, I had to hire someone to replace her, and I still needed to bring her back at her full salary when she came back from maternity leave. There's things you've got to do. There's laws you've got to abide by. So sometimes when you've got a small business, it feels scared to do that. It's easier to have a contractor and to say, you go on maternity leave, I'm going to find someone else. If I need you when you get back, that's great. And if not, that's you, you know, that's why so many women don't go on maternity leave when they're self-employed, because there's no mat leave. So for me, employees meant my employees could have all these benefits, all these things. It means a lot more dedication. It means that there are certain rules. Like if you were to start a side business or something, a competing business, you'd be fired. Like you can make your rules so much more solid. Whereas with contractors, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to enforce because it's like they could have multiple clients. And if you're going to sign them as a contractor where they're not allowed to have other clients, that could be a red flag because I don't think you're supposed to do that. Contractor means they're allowed to have other clients technically. So you've got to like really have a strong contract. Then you've got to have a legal team that writes the contract. So the big thing for me is once I was ready to say Alpha Femme is a real company, I had to have conversations with legal teams. I started working with, I actually regrettably started working with a company that was way too small as far as like taxes, and they didn't really see the big vision. I should have started with a bigger company right away, but I just didn't think I needed it. I didn't expect this kind of growth. But now I work with Deloitte, and they have offices all over the world. So if you have clients all over the world, they can help you everywhere. There are other offices like this that are very big, but Deloitte, I'm really enjoying right now. I feel like it's important to have people who know how to run businesses properly to tell you from the beginning, do this, don't do that. This is important. This is a mistake. Like having that kind of counsel is so important because every country, every province, everything, it's different. Everything's different. So knowing those laws from the beginning are so important, and you can ask them those questions. Can you mention the difference between Alpha Femme core team and regular team? Also, how do you handle hours for each person? So 40 hours is a typical work week, and those are the just Alpha Femme team, 40 hours a week. That's it. Core team don't have, their hours are more spread out. So it's like on the days that they work, they're available all day, but they have more management positions. So they're the ones that people are constantly asking them the questions. They're managing people more. Their mind is a little more open to be able to create and expand. But the biggest reason I have a core team is because when we first started, there was a way that core team was treated that was not possible for me to duplicate everybody the same way. And so I may actually rework core team. We've got to see, because I've got some really great people in my team right now that absolutely would be great in bigger positions. And I also have people who've been core team that I don't know if core team is the long-term vision. You know, it's good for a few years, but then there comes a time where you need to have a regular life. Like during a pandemic, the core team was perfect. I just don't know if that model really works now that the world has reopened. I'm not getting the same energy I used to get from core team. So I'm going to probably rework the company. And I think it's important to be able to constantly rework things, because if not, things get stagnant. People take stuff for granted. You feel exhausted. They feel exhausted. Fresh, new energy matters, but always in a building and a, you know, course correcting in a good direction, not like taking stuff away and making it less fun. Then you're going the wrong direction. Like how do we spice it up? How do we make things more enjoyable? How do we create more energy towards building? Like that's kind of what I think is most important. But I would just say that the difference is core team didn't really have an amount of hours. They could work so many hours. As long as they were needed, they were there, but they were paid based on company growth. Whereas the others, 40 hours, that's it. And they had a very good salary. Would you recommend employees from corporate or international employees? Cheaper when you're starting out to hire? I personally would not, because I have a standard that's so high. And I feel like you cannot hold people that you pay a little to a high standard in integrity. Like there's something about that that's just not right. So if I'm willing to have a low standard, then I can pay low. But if I'm going to ask for a high standard and pay low, there's something off with that. It feels like it's misaligned with everything I believe in. So for me, I don't like it. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just my opinion. When you got the wrong one and you know you need to fire them, but your plate is so full, then how would you deal with this? Well, your plate is also full because of all the mistakes that you're fixing. Your plate is also full because of how often you're annoyed. Your plate is also full because of how much time you spend in your head thinking about how you're going to fire the person or if you should fire the person. And so I think a lot of times we're waiting for this perfect moment when in fact we'd start healing much faster if we made the decision. It's kind of like a breakup where you keep waiting for after Christmas and after Valentine's Day and after the birthday. It's like, it's not the right timing, but when's the right timing? I feel like most of your energy is around this person is probably being drained in trying to overthink how you're going to do this or the fact that you should do this and noticing all their mistakes anyway. So I would let them go. If I knew there was someone in my company that wasn't right for me, I would truly believe it's costing me more to have them than to let them go. Oh my gosh, strong contracts, most importantly, an agreement process that gets to those contracts. My IC plus employment agreements are a masterpiece. Yes. When would you say is the right time to hire? I have people who help me, but I'm starting to feel overwhelmed with certain things. I feel I may need to hire on more. Hesitant because it's things I can easily do. So when I started hiring, it was no longer things I could easily do. It was things that I could do, but had so many things. It was like I wouldn't have been able to grow the company. That was kind of the decision in bringing on a team member was if I brought someone on, then we could grow. If I continue doing everything myself, then I'm going to maintain, but I can't possibly grow. I'm just going to be like in a hamster wheel. So bringing on Emmanuelle meant there would be space for me to do more income generating activities, more masterclasses, more private clients, a mastermind. Like there would be more space for me to grow and put more things on my plate that weren't just managing people. So that's when I say it's really great to hire people, is when you know that bringing them on will make you more available for income generating activities. That there are employee types and entrepreneurial types feel so globally abundant. I agree. Do they get bonuses or commissions with new sales that come on? Not with new sales. So the reason I don't do this, and again, there's no right, wrong, good, bad here, but I'll tell you my thought process. I would never want someone to sell you something so they get a bonus. And I think it's almost impossible not to get in that mind space when you're paid on commission. It's like, I can make more money this week. Like what happens if something in their life happens, something circumstantial, and there's a breakdown, and they feel like every one sale could give them an extra. They might start seeing people like dollar signs. And one thing across the board with the Alpha Femme team is you don't feel that. Everybody is customer experience. There's no one pushing you to do anything, no matter what, no matter where. There's just no incentive to push anybody, but there's company growth and celebration. And so I prefer to give bonuses based on milestones, company milestones. And so then they get excited about launches. They get excited about the structures within the company, but not the one person, the one sale, the one, because that's when it gets like, ooh, you know what I mean? How do you maintain the team culture? How often do you hold meetings with your team? So I actually have very self-led people, and I'm very grateful about that, because to be honest, it has been difficult to meet up as much as they would have wanted us to meet up, especially during the pandemic, because I had so many programs back to back to back to back to back. It felt like if I got sick from any of the things, it would have been an absolute nightmare. And in the times where I did get COVID, because I got COVID twice, the first time I got COVID was right at the end of 2021. And I was supposed to do a masterclass, a finish line masterclass. I didn't do it. And then we ended up going, and I started fresh in Resolution Revolution. All I needed to move was a masterclass. The second time I got it was during the buyer. And I struggled during that program so much leading that with COVID. I was just like, oh my God, I kept having to mute, to cough. It really was unpleasant. And so I can only imagine if I would have caught one of the first strains that were really worse, how I would have felt having to lead all those programs would have been a nightmare. So I did postpone a lot of the team meetings. They wanted to get together, but no one can replace me. And if the program's supposed to go live, I've got to go live whether I'm sick or not. So they were very self-reliant and self-led during the pandemic, which I think was very good for me because it created a solidity that I could really trust in without having to bring it. Like they just brought it themselves, which was a godsend. But now we've had more. So we do core meetings more often, and the core team meet with the other girls. So there's like a company culture of I can meet with the core and the core meets with the others. But we did do a team meeting just recently. That was absolutely out of this world. I treated them to all the things. They got picked up in a limo. They were Alpha Femmes. I rented the whole floor of a hotel, and they're like Alpha Femme stickers in their showers and gifts everywhere. And it was just so much fun, like taking them out and treating them. But we also did a virtual team meeting at the end of last year where I sent everybody, either the ones in Canada got a bottle of champagne and some cheeses, and the other ones got money to go buy themselves those things. And then we all had a champagne and cheese board meeting, which was really fun. We did that virtually. So there's ways to keep the company culture going. But I think that what really helps with the company culture is the company vision. And so when the company has something it thrives for together, you don't have to work so hard at creating it artificially. Every single person on my team believes in Alpha Femme and the clients and what we're doing. Every launch brings us back together. Every client brings us back together. It's like you guys are part of the team too. It's such an interactive thing. We're all working towards the same project. So every time something's working out, it's a team win. I think the company culture goes even beyond the artificial creation of moments. It's like we actually all are on the same page, which is quite a magnificent thing. So I think just keeping people involved in the celebrations and keeping people in the loop about what's happening and to be aiming towards a bigger thing together, that's gone really well for us. Mary says, I feel like I hired too soon all these people and to fill holes, not roles. Not leading vision first. There's so much wisdom in that though. And I just want you to know, I don't think we can mess it up, especially not as anybody here who's a coach or a mentor. I don't think you can mess it up because every single thing you learn ends up being so valuable for you and for your business and for your clients later on. It really does end up translating. So any mistake you've made, once you realize it and then you figure out what you want to do and you make it right, because you will, eventually you'll have a program about hiring. It'll be a masterpiece. Eventually you'll have a program about when to hire a team. It'll be a masterpiece. Like you've just got to trust that your journey ends up being your story and that everything's okay. Can you give some examples of bonuses and commissions that have worked well? I really love, so my favorite thing that we did was when we first started hitting millions and we said, okay, every million, this was really fun. It's not sustainable long-term and it does need to be adjusted. So if you do this, you've got to tell people we're doing this until it feels like we can't anymore, but it's going to be fun. And so what you do is a compounded bonus structure, either based on every $100,000 mark or every $1 million mark, but it's a compounded structure. So what happened was like when we hit 1 million, they made $1,000. Then when we hit 2 million, they got $2,000. Then we hit 3 million, they got $3,000. Then we hit 4 million, they got $4,000, 5 million, $5,000. And so it compounded like that. Then when we had a $24 million month, they got one month, they got a $22,000, $23,000, $24,000 bonus in the same month. It was huge. It was such a huge year. But that was a year of massive growth. And so doing it again the year after with similar numbers didn't feel good to me because it wasn't based on growth. What it would have needed to be for me is it starts where the growth starts. You know what I mean? But then there has to be something for the beginning to make it fun. So I'm working on that. But I feel like the bonuses need to be attached to growth. If not, we become bitter because it's like, well, my company isn't growing. So why are people getting bonuses for maintenance? That doesn't make sense. There needs to be something else. So this works in a growth phase. In the maintenance phase, it won't make you feel so good. So you've got to adapt. How transparent are you with your team about the finances of the company as a whole? I'm not very transparent with the finances as a global thing. For me, it's more about the revenue, what we create, because they are more so responsible for the income that the company generates with me. We can talk about how great a masterclass went, how great a shop with me went. We can talk about that kind of stuff, but we are going to celebrate like money in, and the rest is my responsibility. And so that I manage the company. I don't feel it's that important to share that. Let's see, that there's the energetic aspect that Lenny's talking about the employees. And then there's also the legal aspect. One of the biggest risks in business is the errors here. They cost me so much money to make these mistakes. It costs you money to make the mistakes. It costs you money to hire the right team. It costs you money. It's like, it's not really possible to build a business and get everything you ever needed to know and it be free. So whether it costs you money to make the mistakes or it costs you money to hire the people, just take it as it's what it costs to run a business and you'll be fine. Just don't harbor anger. Don't feel the need to keep to hide yourself or do everything alone because you've made mistakes. It's part of the process. I have 2 full-time client marketing, 1 part-time, just exited another full-time, the one we talked about. I'm in Ontario, so wondering if I should focus on having everyone be more part-time or casual, but that would be such a huge pivot. See, I would be incapable of doing that. I would prefer to have, for me, I would prefer to have 1 employee that's my right hand that does everything with me, to pay that person really well and to find the person who's like, I could work any hour. Like what it was with Emmanuelle that was so great is she was like me. It was, I love to work. As long as it's fun, as long as it's exciting, as long as I love it, I love to work. It felt like so much fun. We had so much fun having 1 person only to manage, but they're your right-hand person. Maybe they even come over in the day and you guys work together. You go and you do work outside, in external places, and you really have this feeling of, I've got an assistant. Emmanuelle at first, she was my assistant and my personal assistant. Like she did everything with me, everything. And so it felt really great to just have this 1 person rather than 3-4 people that, okay, I message them, not available. They've already left for the day. This is their day off. They're not there. Like that is more frustrating to me than 1 person that you really just show them the ropes. They end up being your right hand and they grow the company with you. That was my better outcome for me. But anyone who has feedback for Mary, please share. What role does Kevin play? So Kevin also has his own business and he works with a lot of the women that are in AFE, their husbands, when they're ready for a coach, they'll end up hiring Kevin. He does personal coaching and he also has the Word of Men, which is his like men's mastermind that he has. It's very much, my experience of his work is very much in support of men who have women doing this work, which I think is super valuable. So he has that, which is absolutely phenomenal, but he's also the one that does all the behind the scenes stuff, like all the meetings with the notaries and everything. By the time I need to sign a paper, Kevin has made sure everything is taken care of. I tell him what we need. He gets on the phone with a lawyer. He gets me the paperwork that we need. Like he does all the things. So at the end, I get the final product. He also manages our life in the most extraordinary way. Like while I'm getting ready for this call, he's created all the setup. He's got all the lights on for me. He's set me all up with all my stuff. He's even made me a cup of tea that I barely drank. But he really is like operations in our lives. Make sure when we're going from one property to the other one, organizing the travel for our designers, like he's the one that's leading the ship is the way I would say. When did you move from small company to Deloitte? And is this taxes? So Deloitte does have multiple divisions. I work with them for tax purposes mostly, but there's so many different connections that they're able to connect us with, which also is fantastic because they have a lot of high profile clients. So if you're in need of an investor, you're in need of something, like if you've got someone where you can say, hey, if you know someone who's really great at this work, can you connect me? They've got a lot of people they can connect you with when you build a good relationship. So that's amazing. But I transitioned to Deloitte last year, and I wish I would have transitioned 2 years before. As a matter of fact, I wish I would have started there. If I would have been brave enough to start there, my life would have been so much more simple. I just second guessed my growth, I guess. I just never thought it was going to be this great. But I think you've got to bank on it being great and hire the best. That's the greatest experience, the greatest advice I can give you. So they charge based per company, per project, so it's not possible to define. Like I've put on more and more things with them over, because we have a real estate company, a production company, Alpha Fam, like there's many different companies. So they charge us based on now all the companies that they manage. And also based on how many employees you have and how many, it's like they customize how much they charge you, which I think is fantastic, because it means the more you grow with them, the more you pay them. But when you're smaller, it doesn't cost you as much. Like it won't cost you what it costs me. This whole conversation is speaking to my soul. What's the long-term team vision versus how it started? Okay, that was for Jenny. Let's see. How is it that your CS team is always answering right away? My customer service team. This is what I wanted. Like I wanted to bridge the gap between real life and the internet. I wanted people to feel like when I want something in life, this is me, Melanie Ann Lair. When I want something from someone, I want it right away. If I message a company because I have a question and they write back to me, oh yes, you will have a customer experience person call you back in 48 hours. Or like, you have reached us on a weekend, wait till Tuesday. We were done at 5 p.m. I'm so frustrated by that. And so for me, I was always on the ball when it was my own thing at the beginning, and I set a really strong standard. So why would I be less now that I have employees? So I just love the feeling with Alpha Fem that you want something, you get it. The other thought that this is for me is when I'm a sacral person. When I want something, I want to do it right away. So if I get this thing like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to buy this thing, and then I go to do it and I can't find a link or I can't talk to someone, chances are that's it. I'm going to want something else tomorrow. So I also want it so that when people are like, I'm a yes, and I'd love this link, that it's like, there it is. There it is. As easy as possible, as quickly as possible. So those are the reasons for me. I have a question.
I'm sorry, can I just, on this one, on the customer service thing before you move in, how do you get the people that you hire for customer service to live up to your standards?
I think it depends who they worked for before. So if you think about the people that I've got working for me now, they're people who were either directing a hotel or, shift managers at a 5-star hotel. They know what they've got to do. They're also paid well. It's like, this is their job. It's a great job. They care about their job. They're good at their job. They know how to do their job. They care about the company. They care about you guys. It's like, in life, what's difficult is to make people care about something when they don't feel cared about. What's hard in life is to make people care about something when they don't even feel you care about it. How many bosses out there do you think don't really show up for their work properly, almost disregard their companies, pay people peanuts, and then push for productivity? It's like, that's the way people have mostly known. So to be in a company where my team can watch me all day, they look at my schedule, they know how dedicated I am to this company. I'm here, we're doing the work. It feels like a global mission for us. When I say for me, for you, for us, that's really what it is. Like, they watch me day in and day out stand for this company and for the world. And I think it helps to feel that togetherness. If I were just swanning away, not working, it may be harder to get this kind of dedication. But I think the fact that I also don't tell people they're replaceable, and that, if they don't do a certain thing, I'll get rid of them. Like, I care about them. I care about longevity. I care about growth and evolution. It's honestly, I feel it's the greatest job in the world. So why would anyone mess it up? If they already know how to do it, they're good at it. It's an extension of what they used to do. They're paid well. There's a possibility for growth. They've got a boss that cares, a group of people that care. The opportunities are there. Like, why not? When you put everything together that works, people just show up. I think when people don't show up, something's missing in the company. Something's missing. Either they don't feel important, either you're not lit up enough about the company where they're feeding off your vision. There's something missing usually if that's happening. Or you picked them because you wanted to help them instead of picking them because they were freaking brilliant. Because every single person who works for me nailed it in someone else's company before they nailed it in mine. They did not mess up in someone's company and then I tried to help them in mine. They didn't mess up in their own company and then try to nail it in mine. They nailed it in someone else's company and then they nailed it in mine. That answer your question? I have a question on an identity shifting, but I'm not sure if we have hot seat today to ask. So I really wanted to streamline this conversation today because I want to go to the depths of it so we're not ping-ponging, but I'm happy to do this tomorrow on our call though. That will be perfect. And anybody who's got their hand up here, if Emma, you don't mind just taking the names, if you guys still need tomorrow, if you don't need tomorrow, take your hand down. If you do want to come on for hot seat tomorrow, just keep your hand up. This refusal is everything. How do you structure the bonuses based on milestones? Does everyone in the company receive them, or only core team? Only core team, because core team are the ones that are there all the time. So the core team are the ones that like live and breathe the company. But I do want to look into different ways. I want to look into different things. Anything you can share about having your partner on your team and how you guys manage that? What tasks you have him do? Only the ones he desires, or filling holes? So I think the most important thing is that he has to have provider energy in his role. So if he feels diminished or belittled in any way, it's going to mess up our relationship. So it needs to feel like something he is in charge of. That's the most important thing. It can't just be like Kevin's my assistant, because if that happens, then everything else starts to break down. It really has to be Kevin's the energetic provider. So whatever suits that role where I feel taken care of, and not just like he does the little stuff. Like it's got to feel like big stuff. That's the only thing I would say that's important if you're going to work with your partner. Don't give them the little unimportant stuff that's space fillers. The filling holes thing is what breaks down your respect for your partner. So don't do that. You got to make sure the things that they do, you think, thank God I don't have to do this. Like every single thing Kevin does in my company, I'm just like, I am so freaking grateful for you. I don't even know what I would do without you. You don't have that energy. It's very easy to get everything else break down. Given how difficult it seems to be for my team to keep up with me, and getting reminded of that with this Marry Yourself course, I'm so curious how your team is keeping up with you for such consistent launching. How far in advance do you know and tell them? But see, this is the other thing. This is their job, and they are good at their job. Like when you think about the hotel industry skyrockets at Valentine's Day, skyrockets at, you know, there's a festival in town, skyrockets on the weekends, skyrockets in the summer, on summer break. Like there's so many moments of hype and rush. They're used to it. It's part of their work. Emmanuelle worked with sales companies, Stephanie with sales companies. Like they know the hype, the rush of this stuff. They're the right people. And so when you work with a person who's never achieved any kind of success or has never worked with a company that's got this kind of vibe, this hospitality vibe, the rush at the restaurant, the rush at the hotel, the rush, if they're not good with that, the rush at the airport, the rush, when you have this, like, we got to do this and we got to go, they're like, whoa, like, no, we got to do this. They don't have it in their body. So you want to make sure you're picking people who have these soft skills. And when I say soft skills, it's because it's something that you wouldn't really look at on a resume when you're looking for who to hire. But if it's like, I can handle launches, I can handle pressure, I can handle the big weekends, the sold out event, I can handle that. Oh my gosh, that person on your team is like fantastic to have. So it's just looking into different professions that hold the codes that we hold. And the fact that they get to work from home or get to work from wherever they want in the world is very helpful. And if you can, you know, I know in the hospitality industry, a lot of people go in the hospitality industry with the hope that it will allow them to travel more, to work in hotels. And in the end, they only ever visit the places they work from the inside of the hotel where they work. So having the opportunity to say, you still get to work from wherever you want. You get, as long as you're doing your work, you can be wherever you want. And all I want is the same dedication that you had at that job, and magic happens. So just be a little more discerning of what are the qualifications a person needs to be good at the job they did before. If they need very long-term planning, organization, strategy, there's one person, there's a whole division for this and a whole division for that and a whole division for this. They don't do things that are outside of their workload. It needs, everything goes through very professional. There's a turnaround time. They're used to being like, the department is closed for this time. When you bring them into your fast-paced business, it's going to feel like it doesn't make sense. So just think, does this environment that they're accustomed to feel like an energetic match to this environment? Olivia says, I realized when I did my meeting in autumn that we weren't on the same page. I didn't know how to deal with this. I wasn't prepared to manage my team and have conversations about this. Now there's another thing. You are, and this is what's difficult as the main face of the brand, is that we are the talent, we are the management, we are the marketing, the advertising, the customer experience, like we're all of it. And so when you start to find where to delegate, what I loved about having the one person, having Emmanuelle with me at the beginning, meant that when it was time to bring on new people, Emmanuelle could lead them. And so I didn't have to be the manager on top of everything else. So Emmanuelle is chief of operations. She's connected to everyone. She makes sure that things go well. And Kevin is even there for her to be supported as well. But you need people with management experience. Emmanuelle has managed sales teams, very temperamental salespeople who are all over the place, emotional, like she can handle that. She's good with the clients, she's good with the employees. You've got to have people on your team that have those frequencies, because if you don't have people who can manage people, you end up managing everybody. You've just added another full-time job to your plate. I had a VA who did everything. I referred her to others. When she was working for 8 other people, she was dropping things and I had to let her go. It took 3 people to replace her. Huge lesson. This is why I like having employees, because when someone is good, everybody wants to work with them. And, you know, for me, let's say Shannon is the best at what she does. She really is. Her work is brilliant. She gets me. And I know that for certain clients, she has the same vision they have for them. Like she's the best in the world for them. And so for her to be able to take on a few clients, it doesn't really feel fair for me to say, I'm the only person who ever gets to benefit from your art. No one else can. But what makes sense to say is, well, then once they're in Unity or the private clients, then that's like a perk and it's a 50-50 split. Okay, that works. But Shannon will never work so much for other clients that she drops Alpha Femme stuff, because her salary with Alpha Femme is the biggest thing and we split the other things. So that's a better way. If you find someone great, hire them full time and create some sort of a subcontracting service if you want, where you can manage it, but the referral of your best person is like, when it comes to this, a service-based thing, that's difficult. How did you learn about running teams in your business? Did you have a mentor? Or did you solely learn as you went? So what's interesting is that in my life, I did have management positions. When I think back, when I was 18, I was the best seller of a clothing store, and they made me the manager of the clothing store. Then I was in makeup, and they made me the manager of the makeup counter. Then I went into, independent sales. I became the trainer. I often rose into leadership positions just because, not even necessarily, and this is what I find fascinating, is I wasn't put in the leadership positions because I was a good manager. I was put in the leadership positions because I was the best. And so I set the standard. And so I wasn't necessarily the best manager, but I never asked people to do something I wasn't willing to do. And I think that creates respect. And in the same tangent, it's how I built my team with Alpha Femme. I feel a desire, someone close to me where I live. What did Emmanuelle do? Wondering what to outsource, clients, photos, videos, like everything I do. So this is the other crazy thing, is I literally did not have the same kind of brand as I have now. The brand where I'm even a part of the brand only occurred in 2020, because before that, I used to show the world through my eyes, but I very rarely appeared unless I was doing a live stream. In anything that I was doing, it was my coffee, it was Kevin, it was my family. I was the one taking the pictures and the videos, so I never showed up in them. I was just on the live streams. But what Emmanuelle did was the inbox messages, the responding to comments in the Alpha Femme group, the opening the groups for me, the making sure the group is all set so I can just go live, managing my schedule, making sure everybody that needs a call with me is booked. So instead of people going through me to book their calls, they book through Emmanuelle. Vetting podcasts for me, making sure which ones are right for me, which ones are not right for me. posting reminders on social media, like all the things that need to be done, that if I do them, it would take away an hour for a coaching call. So I was able to generate more income having her there. I think that's where people hire too soon, is they hire because they think they should have a team instead of hiring because they're like, if I could duplicate some of the things I do to do more income generating activities. Like me being bottlenecked in my business is stopping my growth. You hire for growth, not for simplicity. You hire for growth. If you hire for growth, you're going to hire differently. Did you ask your employees if they never wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like, how did you know what they didn't want to be one day? Because I said to them, this is my vision. If you come into the Alpha Femme team, what I see you doing is this kind of work, like forever. Do you see that? And I was like, yes, 100%. I think people who go to school and spend, 5-6 figures on an education to become the head of a hotel don't have in the back of their mind that they want to be an entrepreneur, unless it's one day they want to open a hotel or something like that, which I can understand. But usually that's not it. It's like, if you want to run hotels, that's usually the vibe. The entrepreneur buys the hotel. The worker becomes the manager of the greatest hotels in the world. You've got to just know the frequency of people. They've got to know their own frequency, and you just ask. It's not an awkward question when you ask the right person. When someone does want to be an entrepreneur, it's an awkward conversation because they're like, well, yeah, but I've never really managed. This is the other thing. I don't think it's possible to be extraordinary at a job when you really want to be an entrepreneur. I think you're always either a little bit mediocre, a little bit hating your job, a little bit never promoted, like never in the best spot, always trying to figure out why you're not breaking through. It's very rare someone who is like the greatest employee on earth that actually wants to be an entrepreneur. That's very rare. And I only hired people who were extraordinary employees. Yeah, extraordinary employees. Top of the line, winning all the awards, getting all the promotions, being constantly in the spotlight. Those are the ones that work for Alpha Femme. So they're great employees. They may have that, like, I own my position and I care about this and this becomes a part of me and I own my job fully, but they don't have I would do everything better if I did it myself. This boss doesn't know what they're doing. I would do so much better. They don't have that. It's a respect for the company and a want to do something great inside of it, which is such a different thing than what we feel like inside of a company, which is like, if I were running this thing, that's not their experience. How do you manage someone who's not motivated anymore? I feel my team is not the right team right now. How do you pivot? Having a clear desire about what I would love to do. If my team can't self-motivate, that would be a reason for dismissal for me. If I feel like a person is not capable to motivate themselves, then I would find someone else, because she who leads herself, Alpha Femme. If my team can't hold that, we're screwed. Like, I need to have, at least our internal team needs to walk by the company motto. That is so important. What would you typically pay a right hand, and how do you set up the culture from the beginning to not be a 9-to-5 clock out? I think it's important to speak to the person you're going to hire about who they are. Like, let's say I one day got done. Like, I don't want to do this work anymore. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to do this anymore. I think I would make an incredible, I think I'm going to make an incredible assistant to someone. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an incredible assistant. And so I have a conversation with someone and they're like, okay, so are you willing to be on call all the time? I'll be like, no. Right away, I'm fired. You know what I mean? If inside of me, I'm like, no, I am. If I can be in my house and just be in my life, and all it is when the phone goes, I answer, I do what I've got to do. I don't need to be creating, but I just get to be supporting. Yes. Tell me and I'm there. Yep. Tell me and I'm there. Tell me I'm there. What if it's at 10 o'clock at night? I'll still be up. It's who I am. What if it's on a Saturday? It's who I am. I don't care. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, if I'm on a day off, I'm probably going to be looking, even if you tell me to take the day off, that's who I am. That's my person. There are people like this. You've just got to not hire the people who aren't. Trust people to tell you who they are. That's the most important thing. And for me, what I did is just paying people a little more than what they made. Just so it's not an exact exchange, like a little more than what you made at your other job. Let's make this exciting to leap, and let's see what we can build together with opportunity for growth. Because for me, opportunity for growth is super important. And like, you're going to trust in me, I'm going to trust in you. I'll pay you more than the place you've been working at for years. You come in, it's going to take a learning curve. We're going to get it figured. That's been the greatest way for me. Just see. Okay. I feel very curious about having high level. Okay, this is for Mary. Having a bookkeeper has been transformational. Yes. Okay, for Ali, I'd be very interested to connect with your contact at Deloitte. I totally ruled them out because of my experience in the big law firm. Are you in Canada, Ali?
No, but maybe they have somebody here that they can connect me with.
Yeah, where are you?
Colorado, Costa Rica,
Colorado,
both places.
Costa Rica.
Mhm.
Let me ask, and I'll see if I can connect you to someone in Colorado or Costa Rica.
Great, thanks.
It's heart. You lead with such heart, and it shows. I can confidently say I was one of the best bosses. My team would cry when they moved on and tell me that they were leaving. Till this day, staff who I developed send me messages that I taught them 10 years ago. They still use. There's something about being a banging boss that lives in your soul forever, and having a boss who's visionary. Oh my God, nothing like it. Yes. Emmanuelle, please put me on the list for tomorrow. I'm going to do my best to be here. Okay, perfect. I've evolved as a boss over the years. I started as an entrepreneur at 21. I had a lot of resentment and bitterness because I didn't know how to delegate. Over the last 10 years, the evolution has been incredible. Everyone that is with me now has been with me 2 years, 6 years. Very grateful. That's incredible. How did you come up with your mission vision? How do you recommend expanding this to deepen our conversation around meaning and depth? My feeling with this is it does evolve over time. It's not something that you'll like get right away and then everything's clear. I think through the mistakes you make, through the hardships and how you evolve, you're going to figure out what the mission is. Sometimes it's more complex, sometimes it's more simple. I have found that She Who Leads Herself is one of the most beautiful contexts, because the goal is that my clients lead themselves to my employees, and my employees lead themselves to do what they need to do, and then I lead myself, and then everyone just does what they've got to do, and then we change the world. Like, that's the simplest vision for me. But it came with, sometimes you want to overcomplicate things. You want to try to paint this big picture, and you realize you've got to work so hard to get people excited, when in fact, when you nail the right frequency, people just exist on. So good. Thank you for this conversation. I just realized I've done everything backwards from what you shared. No wonder it felt fragile. No matter what I try, the team doesn't glue and grow towards a new milestone. The question now is, how can I hit the restart button? What would you advise is the first step to restart at the right place? Some staffs are really great. They're amazing. Just that my management experience hasn't been great. I would say now it's time to find yourself an extraordinary manager. See if you can find someone in the hospitality industry that would come and be your right hand, that could really help you develop systems with the people that you do have that are great, that loves to work, that would love the opportunity to grow internally, and that's going to work with you closely, and that's going to be able to stay connected to the people that you've got and work with them.
Can I add on to that just quickly?
Yeah.
I'm asking that question. So I have tried like 2 different manager, and I know that it's my pressing point. Like, if it is right, it would be right. But then the last 2 I'm not sure, was because I'm a manifest gen and I cannot give them direct instruction and full structure. But it seems like they really annoy and frustrated me that they cannot follow up with a lot of ideas, inspirations, and launches that I've got coming up in my head. So I'm not sure, is it me or is it like not the right person? And if I have to choose the next person, I don't know where to find. Where you just point out like hospitality, I used to work in hospitality as well, but I'm not sure what skill set can be transferable here. Yeah.
Management. What's missing is that you're maybe not in love with managing people, or maybe you do, but when there's too many things on your plate, it's the first thing that falls off. And so when
Yes.
people are good at execution, but they need leadership, that happens. Like, not everyone is self-led. Some people do need management. So I really do feel you need a right hand that is going to be an incredible manager.
How do you know if someone is a right manager? I just don't know who would have that skill to manage. What would be the sign or what skill they display to actually show you?
I mean, it's normal that right in the second you don't know who you're going to hire, because we've literally just had the conversation today. This is something that you decide and then you start to like open your field, and either you ask and people connect you, or either you go on LinkedIn, or either you start traveling intentionally and say, let me go until I find the hotel manager that like blows my mind, and then let me see if I can build a relationship, and they come over time. Like, you would either experience them, either you go to a restaurant and the manager at the restaurant is absolutely out of this world, you build a relationship and eventually it makes sense. At a hotel, at a luxury boutique, like fashion or jewelry or something like that, the manager of a place like that, if they have management skills at a high position in a reputable place and they've been doing this work for a long time, they have to be good at management. They don't hire bad management at Tiffany's, at Cartier, at Gucci, at Louis Vuitton, at Yves Saint Laurent, at a 5-star hotel, at a Michelin star restaurant. Like, everywhere you go that's world class, by the time someone makes it to management, they've got tons of experience and they're good at what they do. You've just got to go and get the best people there are. That's where magic happens.
Okay. If I don't have the budget for it yet, then what would be the next best option, do you think?
Then you would just go for a management position at maybe not a 5-star hotel, but still a place where you have seen a person give you extraordinary service and you've had experience. You just maybe have to experience it, but not at the higher luxury places, but that could still be extraordinary. It could be a manager at Zara. It could be the hotel manager at just more of a boutique hotel, but you've got to put yourself out there if you're going to find them yourself. You can also look through LinkedIn. You can find a headhunter also that goes and does this for a living. But when you decide this is what you want to do and you actually put your energy behind it, that's when things start to really flow.
Thank you. Gotcha. Thanks.
All right. So based on this, I'm thinking I need one ops person to do structure convos with clients, default organization content, send out PR, podcast pitches, check emails. Then we can meet in person. How would you pay or look for a role like this? So I would find a person who has a lot of these qualifications already in their job and just pay them a little more than they make, whatever that means. Because it's not about you putting a price on it. It's about finding the right person and paying them. And honestly, I don't even know if this is the thing, like, I don't even know if it's allowed to do this. But for me, I've just always asked people, like, what are you making right now? Because I want to pay you more than what you make. And they are so happy to tell me. Because it's not like, what are you making right now? And I want to pay you less, or I want to, it's like, I want to know what I've got to pay you for you to be excited to come here. So I've asked. Feel like a fire hot seat deep dive on the team. I have a masterclass with over 500 people registered. My VA forgot to upgrade the Zoom room to 500 from 100. It ruined the class for me. I kept getting notifications while leading from people saying they couldn't get in. Mistakes like that were so costly. Huge lesson. Just saying, I would love hot seat coaching tomorrow, please. Okay, so Christy too for the Alpha Fem team. I landed my first multi-million-dollar club management at 23, not because I knew how to lead people, but modeling leading myself, top of sales. This is so true. They look for what they can see you doing. Yes, this is why the coaching industry works so much. That is so good. I think we're all pivoting our teams after this call. I feel so far away from my dream team. Last year was so hard to manage my team. I will connect to my new standards. I'll make it happen. My father always said, listen to people. They'll tell you who they are. My grandma used to say that. My team is good at execution, but they need to have clear instruction. And that's not bad. It may just mean you need a good manager on your team. There's also tests you can have them do. And Jenny has resources. Thank you, Jenny. Leah says your philosophy and that of another mentor of mine, who is a man also 35 like you, the respect and transparency and belief in people and their power. This is the trust and revolution I've been craving in the world. This is the deep root of our charity, the power of every single human and not the coercing ever. So to confirm, you recommend hiring for growth, not necessarily for more free time. You're not going to have free time when you first start your hiring people. It's like saying, I'm going to have a baby for a free time. Like you have a baby to grow as a person, not to have free time. You grow your company, you add employees, not for free time. Eventually, when things are on a roll and you've built something powerful and everybody's in place and their roles are great, if that's when you want to take free time, that's great. But if you try to build for free time, and that you'll be frustrated with everybody. Let's see. I mean, what are they currently making? And then we match or go a little above. Yes. If I don't have a well-rounded vision, how do I lead with vision? Can you riff on the work around this? I have some ideas, but I'm unsure. Yes. So this will be my last question for today. This is my feeling about this. Vision is something that becomes clearer as you walk towards the future. Because in the beginning, you're constantly trying to figure out what your vision is instead of embodying your vision. The vision doesn't come with thinking, it comes with seeing. So you've got to see a lot in your business before it really drops for you what you want. When I first started this work, I didn't even understand the depths of what we could do. I was just excited to see people achieve things they'd never seen before. I didn't realize how much power, how much depth would be in this work. And even for my employees, like I didn't realize the sacred connection there is between an employee and an employer until I became an employer, because I never felt it as an employee. I never worked for someone who made me feel like they were grateful that I dedicated my life to their dream. I never felt anybody that felt bad about me. I feel that about my employees from the bottom of my heart. And there's two things in life, is the thing that's true and the thing you want people to think or feel is true. And so this is not a performative thing for me. I'm not trying, it's not the question like, how do you tell people or how do you show people that? It's like, it just is. I feel grateful that these people choose to work with me every day of my life. And so it's got to feel on, they can't not feel it because it's the truth. You can't fake that stuff. And if you feel like you need to prove it, it's because somewhere inside you don't feel it strong enough. Like I feel it from the top of my head to the tip of my toes, how grateful I am that their entire life, their career that they chose for their life is supporting Alpha Femme to come to fruition. Like what an incredible honor that is for me to have people want to do that. I've never had a boss treat me like that. It's always been like, you're lucky you have a job, not I'm lucky I found you. And I feel like that's the flip that we're trying to create as conscious company leaders, is that we're actually not only changing entrepreneurship, but we're changing employeeship. We're changing what it means to work for a conscious boss where you feel like you matter, where you giving your entire life to someone else's dream is actually recognized. So I feel like there's something about that that comes with, once you can only really see it once you've got the right people and you see what's possible, like having people who buy a house for the first time, you know, my employees so excited to drive their new car to my house to show me like my first real like gorgeous luxury car, excited to show me the purse they bought, excited, grateful for their house, grateful that they were able to buy a house big enough that their parents could live in it with them, grateful that their debt is entirely cleared, calling me to let me know my house is paid off, my credit cards are paid off, my student loans are paid off. I'm so grateful and I'm so excited. Like this is so amazing. Then the vision gets so clear. It's like, we are such a big part of a big thing. This is such a big thing that we're doing on the planet. And it's so powerful and it's so beautiful. Then the vision gets clearer and clearer and clearer. And it also gets clearer with pain sometimes. You know, people mistake your kindness for weakness. And then you realize there's got to be some strength and there's got to be some power. And then you fill in the blanks and you fill in the spaces and it starts to get clearer and clearer. So at first, your vision is what you see. Would you call this operations assistant? What Emmanuelle does, you mean? Like the one person? I mean, at first I just called her my personal assistant because we didn't know what we were calling her, but operations assistant is perfect. And eventually she became chief of operations because she had the whole company, she was in charge of the whole thing. But this is what I see for us is like, you've got to start walking and seeing, looking and contemplating. Your vision will come when you see, when you look. It won't come in your imagination. It'll come in your actual seeing of your company, what you stand for and what's happening. Give it time. But someone who's forging a vision also creates company culture, because if it's in your awareness and it's in your creation, it's still going to bring people together. Chief of staff is another similar role. Your right-hand person. I love that. So on this note, enjoy your day. If you're going to be in Femme Fatale with me, I'll see you shortly. And then I'll see you tomorrow for some hot seat. I love you. See you soon. Bye.